So today and next month, we're going to talk about this very, very important subject because we are all sort of in the midst of this kind of world, digital world. We are not natives as our kids are, and we need to accommodate ourselves and learn how to deal with the digital world we all live in, and especially our kids, and especially our kids with ASD and language and communication impairments. So we are at first, first I'm going to introduce myself. As you know, I'm Cintia Ferris. I'm a psychologist. I'm specialized in language and communication disorders, specialized also in ASD development, and I work here at the VICON Method as a family guide or therapist. And that is why I'm today with you. So we are going to start seeing, because when we need to sort of see the screens as opportunities, right? But also need to understand its challenges, because that will allow us to not just reject, and with that, all the good things that come with them, but also find that good balance where we can find each other with our kids in the digital world. So we're going to today, I sort of split it because there is a lot to talk about. And we're going to talk of some positive aspects today, and we're going to see some others next time, and some negative aspects. So in the so as you see, we need to sort of find a balance between the opportunities and the challenges, as I was telling you. And so on the bright side of the we have to realize, and for example, here at the VICON Method, we are one of the greatest examples of a very powerful educational tool, because screens can be that, especially for children with ASD, because especially at the beginning, taking out all the social and sensory aspects of the interactions really helps develop the core of the social and language development. There are also many ways of doing interactive applications and programs that you can adapt to their learning styles. You can, as a tool, they allowed us to adapt the interaction, and that is really, really helpful. Then, if I can, it can also be a communicational support, because there are specific applications that can support non-verbal and verbal communication for children with ASD and language impairment, with what is known as augmentative and alternative communication, that really facilitate that expression of thoughts and needs, which is very, very important, as you might know. But then, as the challenges, we need to be aware of the excessive screen time sometimes our children have. That can be negative because it affects the time that is essential that they spend doing activities that actually develop their development, if I may say that, such as outdoor play and face-to-face social interactions, because there needs to be like a two-sided situation where you can have that learning throughout sometimes screen time, but then you have to take it into the real world and put it into practice where it belongs, right? Just a moment, I'm going to see because I heard that there are some things and I want to make sure that there is no a problem. No, I just wanted to check that there was nothing that I was doing wrong or not letting anyone in or something like that. Thank you. I'm sorry. So, and the other negative aspects have to do with inappropriate content. Sometimes there are some obvious inappropriate content because it's like out of their range of understanding or what they need to be in contact with in the world, but also inappropriate means out of their needs or capabilities, because that really translates to them into noise, and that is sort of unhelpful for their development. So as we were talking about, screen offers some value opportunities that we need to take them, but also with their challenges, we need to find that balance that is tailored to our child's needs. That is the main thing, tailoring the approach and not just cutting it down or just going through it all, right? We need to set boundaries, select the content, and actively engage in their digital experience. That is the most important thing, because that way we can make two very important things. We can maximize the benefits and mitigate the risks associated with the screening, because, and we also can, that about the content and about their development, but we also have the possibility, when we know, because we have shared the experience with them, of making a very informed and conscious decision, right? To have to find that balance in their development. Now we are going to explore three key issues that present what parents and caregivers should consider when navigating the digital world with their children, right? We know this is a vital topic in our goal to provide a practical tool and insights to make every screen experience a positive learning opportunity, right? So there are three main aspects. I'm going to unpack them now for you. Understanding individual needs, significant use of screens, and effective digital routines. These are like the three core ones. Next month, we are going to talk about another three very important ones, and each one of them has different aspects we are going to unpack right now. So, about the understanding of individual needs, right? We have these five very important aspects: active and sensitive observation, right? Because we need to spend time observing how our child responds to different forms of technology. For example, you may ask yourself, does she or he have a preference for interactive apps or educational videos or specific games? How does he or she interact with those apps, games, or digital content? You need to pay attention to the verbal and non-verbal indications of preference. Then what we need is to have a direct interaction. We, as I said before, need to actively engage with our child during that screen time, not just know what it is or to see it ourselves, if instead sharing the activity with them. You need to observe the level of engagement, the type of interaction, and their emotional response. This will provide you with clues about what digital activities finds more engaging or challenging, and the way he likes to interact with that. And it would also give you clues to take that into some other context, because when you have done it on the digital world, you can bring it back on the real life. Third aspect, you need to explore their sensory style on the digital world. You need to consider your child's style, because, for example, some will have some preferences in the sensory aspect. For example, one might enjoy more a tactile experience, while others might prefer a visual or an auditory stimulation. For example, I say this to my families a lot, because sometimes they say, my child doesn't pay attention to the videos. And I say, but what does he do? He's there, he's not looking at the screen. But when I talk to the parent, I realize, and I help them see that, that they are choosing the channel from where they take the information, because sometimes combining visuals and audio information, it's really hard. It comes in different waves, and it creates noise, actually. So they take one part of the information, right? So that is not paying attention. It's quite the opposite. So that gives you different ideas about, it's not only to know what type of experience they prefer, it also gives some information of how they process the information and which are the ways he tries to accommodate to those possibilities, right? So the fourth aspect has to do with identifying challenges. You need to pay attention to signs of frustration or saturation of one way of processing the information. For example, you might ask yourself, are there certain types of digital contact or interactions that seems to cause anxiety or discomfort? And finally, gradual adjustments, right? Because it doesn't, when a kid has difficulty with a way of processing some type of information, it's not just that you have to say, oh, this is not for him, and you cut it out. You recognize the preferences and challenges and make a gradual adjustment to that technological experience, to accommodate to that change in development and need in your own child, right? So those are the 5 aspects that are very important to take into account. Finally, you need to make or find strategies to have a meaningful use of the screens. And that implies those 10 aspects that are very important. We will now explore how making the screen time more meaningful and enriching for children with ASD and language impairment. I'm going to tell you about some pages you can, or some apps you can look at apart from ours, to have that meaningful time with your kid. It involves the use of specific strategies to foster the development and communication, and I'm going to tell you now some of them. First, you have some interactive and educational apps where you can select interactive or educational apps that are designed to enhance a specific skill, such as communication, language, social interaction, like ours, for example. And among all of the ones you might find, you have to look for those that adapt to the individual developmental level, or offer a constructive feedback to our kids. For example, you may find the ABC Mouse at www.abcmouse.com, or you can also find the Khan Academy for Kids. It's www.learnkhanacademy.org or Khan Academy Kids, to have that kind of, to look and see if any of these adjust to your child needs. There are also some visual and audio tactile focus, where you can use some applications to focus on visual or audio tactile activities, because many children with ASD respond to the visual stimuli better. And you can also integrate that auditory or tactile elements with to provide some particularly efficient experience to our child. Like, for example, Starfall, starfall.com, or Tocaboca at tocaboca.com. You can also find some pages or applications of augmentative and alternative communication, AAC, that support nonverbal and also verbal communications. Those are in the range, it's a huge range, because you know that there is a huge complexity with this subject that goes from simple pictures to more complex symbolic systems, or even words that help our children express their needs and thoughts. For example, Proloquo, dos go, to go, Proloquio, to go, at assistiveware.com, and there you might find the Proloquo to go, and Touch Chat at www.touchchatapp.com. Also, you have some online socialization programs that explore online platforms that design and encourage social interaction. Some programs allow children with ASD to participate and structure or guide also social activities, facilitating the practice of social skills on the online world, so that they can take that into the real world. For example, you have the Roblox. You might know that at roblox.com. Or Minecraft. You might know those two because they are very popular among every kind of kid. You also have videos with social content, like you can incorporate those videos that present a contextualized social situation that can help children better understand the social interaction and improve their communication skill or language comprehension. For example, you can look at social stories on YouTube, or, for example, also Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood could be very, very helpful at pbskids.org/Daniel. As another one, you might find the guided intervention programs. You can participate in online guided intervention programs that are designed for children with ASD and language impairment. These programs often offer structured activities that support the development of social and language skills. For example, you have the Teach Town at teachtown.com, or Autism Spectrum Therapist at autismtherapist.com. You can also have active parent involvement. For this, you can include some joint activities, positive comments or reinforcement that help make connection better during the digital experience and in real life situation, like, for example, in Common Sense Media in commonsensemedia.org, or Parent Toolkit in parenttoolkit.com. You can also find some digital content that help you establish a digital routine, that can help you integrate the screen time and balance balance it in a better way into your child's daily routine. Because routines are very important. We have said that many times. It offers predictability, which can also be comforting for many children with ASD and language impairments. For example, you can see that at choice works as beevisual.com. I hope I'm saying it right so that you can take some notes. You can also adapt the sensory preferences. You can adapt the child's experience according to their sensory preference. For example, if a child responds well to a visual stimuli, you can select the app that a focus on engaging on visual elements, like for example a sensory app at sensoryAppHouse.com or sensory lightbox at sensorylightbox.com. You can also find apps that help you constantly monitoring and evaluate your child's activities, doing it closely in response to the progress that the technology allows you to follow, the effectiveness, and adjust the needs to adapt the development and the changing needs of our child. You can see that in Screen Time, screenlabs.com, or ourpact.com. Because that refers to the pact you make about the time of content or time or screen time, and that really helps in making it a better experience of the screen time. By implementing any of these strategies, screen time is intended to be a valuable tool for the development of the communication and social skill of our ASD or language development children. It is crucial to adopt these strategies according to each child. Third aspect, effective digital routines. Routines provide the structure and predictability, which is critical for many children. So I'm going to guide you of what things you need to take into account in order to provide the most tailored experience for your child. Revising all these aspects and seeing adjusting to your child needs. So, first of all, visual schedules. This first aspect, we have spoken about it many, many times. Create a visual schedule with pictures or pictograms or photographs that represent different activities of the day, including screen time. That is two things. You can do digitally. Have a digital agenda, but you can also, if you have an analogic agenda, you also need to put the screen time in their agenda. It's not just like a time that is, you don't know when it begins and when it ends. It's there and it has a previous activity and it has a following activity. So the first one helps reduce anxiety, but it also gives you like a limited view of the screen time, which is very important. Then you can have audible reminders using this like soft alarms or light alarms when some activities begin or when screen time begins and when screen time finished. Aids that transition, making it very clear when it's time to switch from one activity to the other. So, for example, it might help you say when the transition between one activity and the next begins. Use of visual cues. The use of cues such as special lights that indicate that screen time it's about to end provides a clear visual sign that it's time to change. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm saying it wrong. So it was audible reminders and then bridging activities. So if you sometimes we need to incorporate an activity that is actually allowing us to go from one activity to the next. That is a bridge activity. Uh, so you need to think about what activity may help you get your screen out of screen time into other activities. Or for example, you can also use the screen time as a calming activity, or you can use listening to a soft music or drawing as a bridge activity that can take you to another task after screen time. And now, yes, the use of visual cues. You use them such as I said, special lights or sounds that indicates, or just a drawing or a gesture, something visual that allows our child to know when the change needs to be made. If you don't use, like here, an audible you can use a visual. But sometimes for some kids, that is why they are separated. You need to look to see which one provides a clearer signal that it's time to change from one activity to the next. Then you need to have some recharge activities. You need to set some routines that allow our kids to disconnect, such as putting away toys or closing a specific application before turning off the screen. This might help create a smoother and more predictable transition. You can also have positive rewards, or for example, if your kid likes dancing or listening to music or doing some hand games, you could use that kind of recharge your routine, like something that allows them to connect to the next activity, or for example, if it's something that, if there is some part of that he likes, he can go and look for that and take that to the activity. Doing some positive reward, implements a positive reward system is very successful for compliance. You can use some reward charts. You might know this because it offers an incentive that motivates our child to to increase that behavior that we are looking for. And finally, have a very clear communication. Do it very simply of how long the screen time will last and which is the activity that we'd follow, because that reassures and help our child to mentally prepare for the change. Finally, you need consistency. Doing it over and over time helps them reduce their feeling of anxiety because they know what is expected. I hope that these examples are helpful for you, and that you can think of how to adapt each of them to your child's specific needs. I think that as a conclusion, because we are getting to the end, navigating screens with children with ASD and language impairment requires a very informed approach that helps us tailor that to our kids. Through these three aspects, we hope to provide you with tools an insight that makes screen time a positive and enriching experience for your children. So thank you very much for joining this crucial talk, and I hope that you'll come back and see you next month.